playing. Sicker and gets sicker any more I know. Any more I know.
welcome into the Football Happy Hour presented by Blitzlytics.com and sponsored by Key City Brewing. I am Jack Bourgeois. Other way. That is Mayo, a.k.a. Cody Talks NFL, a.k.a. Cody Manning. And then Mr. Countryman, Mr. Director of Scouting, Mr. Roy Countryman, down to that side. I'm getting it. I'm going to do my best Robert Robinson impression, and I'm going to do a terrible job at it tonight. As I was out last week, now RobRob is out this week. Apparently, we can transfer things via online. So that's how diseases work nowadays. Gentlemen, what's going on?
Oh man.
I did.
You went there.
Somebody didn't have a firewall or a spam blocker or virus protection. Gosh.
Gentlemen, we having a good weekend. I believe all three of our teams won, so I would say it's a good week so far. Yeah.
Yeah. Colts. I mean, it was an easy matchup. I mean, Jacoby Brissett was already in by the fourth quarter, so that's how easy it was for Indy. But we did get to see the team of the happy hour come get a big lead, let it up, and then they won at the end against old RobRob's team. I'm kind of wondering if he's truly sick or if it was like, oh, my team lost this week. I'm going to sit out a couple days.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, Bucks won. I called it a good weekend. Steelers barely pull one out. I bet you're a little worried there.
By halftime, I was ready to huck my TV outside. Not sure what was going to happen, but then we turned it on. Defense showed up out of the tunnel after the adjustments at halftime, so it's always good to see. Big Ben couldn't hit a deep throw to save his life, but hey, whatever. We're still winning with him still shaking some rough stuff.
It's been a while. It's been over a year, so it's going to take some time. But as you guys know, if you've tuned in before, we got 4 quarters, 4 topics, plus OT. And like I said before, we are down basically the mastermind of all these shows, our director of design. He's got like a million different names. So we're going to do our best. If I slip up, he is the Yoda. If we slip up, it is all my fault because I am no RobRob. So we're going to jump right on into...
Give Jack a break with the hotkeys. He's been hotkeying it up over there.
You guys tuned in earlier, all the jumping around. That was me. I don't know what hotkeys are, but I do know if I press this one button, boom, we jump into first quarter just like that. Roy's still there.
There?
I'll fix it. I'll get it fixed. I'll get it fixed. He might be right there the whole time. Who knows? All right, 15 minutes on this topic. We're gonna be talking about this is 3 and out. This is one of our main topics. Basically, 3 things that we all see, and we'll go round table. I will start off with this one, and I'm going to butter my own bread at the same time as Cody Manning's. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers may have the best defense in the NFL right now, but it's 1A, 1B with the Indianapolis Colts. I'd love to get your take on this, Cody, because I did not see Indy being this good defensively. I thought they were going to be good. I didn't think they were going to be this good. We knew what Tampa Bay was going to be. Antoine Winfield Jr. has been playing lights out. So has Jordan Whitehead. I didn't see either of those happening. You want to talk about interceptions. You want to talk about sacks. You want to talk about good coverage. Run defense, our safeties are playing lights out. But I'd like to really kind of focus in on Indy and what you've seen as to why exactly, your team has been playing so damn well. And I think a lot of it has to do with the roads being closed, as you put in the chat earlier. But what do you think? Why is it that Indianapolis is being so dominant defensively? Is it DeForest Buckner, or is it all the new pieces are meshing way too well?
I think it's a mixture of all that, and I will give way to we did face the Jaguars, Vikings offense that's still trying to figure it out, and the Jets. So I'm not trying to jump too much into it, but they had to look great. They're just keeping everything in front of them. They're not allowing a lot of explosive plays. Obviously, I think DeForest Buckner is the difference. I was kind of somewhat waiting for him to break out in the first game, but maybe he got more double teamed than I thought. But then he completely dominated the last 2 games. And then you're talking about Bobby Okereke, number 1 player in the prospecting encyclopedia, has now taken over basically Anthony Walker Jr.'s role. And I like Anthony Walker Jr. I think that's a top. I think you can make an argument, top linebacker corps in the NFL. They're just funneling everything behind DeForest Buckner to stop the run. So they're doing a great job at stopping the run. Rhodes had a really good performance last week. I think in the first week against the Minshew, when he went 19 for 20, that was a lot of miscommunication. They found themselves on the short end of the field because of Rivers' mistakes. But they still got Rocky Sin to come back. But, yeah, I think the defense is there. I'm just ready to see more of a challenge from a better offense that you'll see like in the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, you're going to need to beat a team like that. We got the Bears this week. We'll probably discuss them at some point. It looks like I'm looking at the script right here, but I'm waiting to see a true test before I say like they are a Super Bowl caliber.
Roy, what's been your takeaway from these top 2 defenses in the NFL?
Yeah, this is going to be a hot topic because I think we could talk about all 3 of our teams having the upper echelon defenses because my Steelers are right there as well. Our secondary has been a little bit more shaky than both of your guys's in the first 3 games or so, which is kind of weird since we have Minka and a lot of other quality players. But, yeah, Antoine Winfield is a game changer for me at Tampa Bay. Seeing that guy, I'm just going to throw it out there. He's the second best pass rushing defensive back outside of Jamal Adams, and that's a short amount of time, the way he can time it up like that and come off the edge. And just his instincts flashing. If he can stay healthy, that's a game changer Tampa Bay got there. Indy, they just have so many complementary pieces. It was like, I always talk about my Steelers, but the Buckner trade was sort of like their Minka trade. They gave up a first-round pick, but you got that transformational talent to let all the other pieces fall into place. And having those big, rangy linebackers with the speed and the tackling ability in Okereke and Leonard behind him, that's just it's ridiculous the amount of yards they can cover up there. And it's going to be hard to run on either one of them teams, especially in Tampa Bay with Sue playing lights out and Vita Vea on rundowns. Both of them are going to be tough sledding, especially in the playoffs this year, guys.
Is Vita Vea becoming, I know I'm sorry staying too much on the Bucs, but is Vita Vea becoming a top defensive tackle in the NFL? Am I the only one that sees this? Is it? I know me and JP on the JP Peterson show just marvel over what he can do. But to me, it seems like he's slowly becoming, and not to the extent, but very similar to what Aaron Donald does.
To me, whenever I see Vita Vea, he reminds me of a Haloti Ngata. He might not get the sack numbers, but if you remember, Haloti Ngata played on all 3 downs, and he would always push the pocket, whether it was the center or guard, right into the quarterback's lap. That's whenever I see Vita Vea. He might not get the numbers, per se, of sack-wise, but just the pure amount of pressure that he disrupts off the line of scrimmage is unquestioned. He's really taken that next step
Cody,
this year.
Give me something that's been a topic for you, something you've seen.
Something I've seen is Drew Brees' arm is already shot, and they need to make changes to that offense quickly. Here's the thing. They are going to roll with him. But maybe I didn't realize how much having Michael Thomas in that offense impacted them. I mean, Traquan Smith has done an adequate job in filling his role, but he is no Michael Thomas at the end of the day. And Breeze is not pushing the ball down the field. I mean, the old Stephen A. Smith meme where he just is staring off with like a blank face like that. That's the Packers D-backs all night. But I mean, I don't want to reference tweets, but I put it on Twitter that night. I'm like, Drew Brees' arm is Alvin Kamara. And that's, at the end of the day, that is not going to be sufficient enough. And they're already finding themselves in a 1-2 record. And they need to I'm not saying like they need to make a switch to Taysom Hill. I'm saying like they might need to hand the keys off to Jameis for a good 5 to 6 game stretch so he can rest his arm up if they do want to go on a Super Bowl push. They're not going to do that. I mean, he's still accurate. He's still making smart decisions. It's just that at some point you're going to have to push that ball down the field, and he's not showing that he can. And I'm getting worried about the Saints Man, I dropped them all the way down to my personal power rankings of 18. So like things could get ugly fast, and it feels like there's nothing special going on their defense right now. Cameron Jordan's not making an impact. I'm just saying overall, not only with Drew Brees, I'm kind of getting concerned about the Saints and their postseason chances. I know Jack's probably very happy hearing that.
I mean, darn right. Dang right.
Yeah, Drew Brees is the incarnation of Peyton Manning in his last season. That's what you're seeing right now. Father Time has caught up with Drew Brees. It's unfortunate because many memories of him winning ball games, throwing the ball down the field. His anticipation has always been there, and that's what's going to get him to still make plays. But you said it, Cody. If he can't push the ball down the field, you can let the corners sit on underneath routes all day long. Even if you have Michael Thomas, they can bracket cover. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get a deep run in the playoffs if you can't push the ball down the field.
Lowest yards per attempt in the NFL, Drew Brees. Lowest amount of throws of 15-plus yards, Drew Brees. He's 10 of 15 on those throws. And I mean, that's a good percentage, but come on now. You got to push the ball. You would think in a year or two ago, he'd have that in one game, not in 3. I mean, they could be 0-3. If they faced the Week 2 Bucs in Week 1, they'd be 0-3 right now, no questions asked. The Bucs shot themselves in the foot 3 times in that game, 100 and something yards over the penalties, and 21 points off of turnovers. You can't win that way. The Saints could easily be 0-3, and we'd be talking about them the same way we're going to talk about some of these other teams coming up. But what else you got, Roy? I know we're kind of jumping around.
Yeah, for me, it's I went in. I always do a pick 'em type thing. I picked against the San Francisco 49ers because of all their injuries. Never again will I doubt Kyle Shanahan. Never again. I'm sorry. Even with losing Nick Bosa and all the running backs, Mostert, we had Jet McKinnon was the guy in the backfield, and Jeff Wilson. This guy's still, I guess maybe it's because it's Alexander Amir's Giants that they threw up a 38 spot on him. But he is going to get the most out of what he has there. I love seeing our boy Kinlaw evolve after the first few weeks. He's been an absolute monster on that defense. I know we talked about Buckner with the Colts. They really haven't seen any letdown with Kinlaw in the line there. And I'm going to throw this hot take out there. I'm hoping we don't see Jimmy G again. Let's see Nick Mullins time. I'm with RobRob since he's not here.
I'm jumping aboard, dude. He's got 9 straight 300-yard performances in a Kyle Shanahan offense. Like, I'm telling you, Jimmy's got the job when he comes back. But if Jimmy was throwing the ball like he was in the first couple of weeks,
but let's okay. I get that. I'm not defending Jimmy G by any means, but at least Nick Mullins had wide receivers in this game. He had Brandon Ayuk, and he had what's his name that they just signed.
Hey, guess what? Jimmy G had George Kittle, and he got him hurt because of a throw.
Okay.
Yeah, we lost Jordan Reed on this one. So we had Kendrick Bourne was outside. We had Mohamed Sanu, who can't separate with anything, and Ayuk was coming back in his first game ever.
And he looked real good though.
Quick.
He looked good.
He did look good.
I thought it looked like Deebo Samuel's on that jet sweep.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah, he looked. He's my boy. Man, he's one of my boys. They're always going to be.
I think when they get healthy, even semi-healthy, they can still be a team. But they have a lot of competition. I mean, let's just not get overhyped because they beat 2 New York teams back to back, not named the Buffalo Bills. Like,
I still have my future concerns. I'm with Roy. Like, I doubted them too. Like, I was like, there's too many injuries. It's just the worst time to, Then they stayed on the East Coast. They never traveled back. They were like in West Virginia for a while. Yep. I just thought they were. I'm like, they'll keep it competitive, but I think the injuries catch up to them. But like, I'm with Roy. I just can't doubt Kyle Shanahan, and if they are going to go to a against a terrible team, I should pick the 49ers in the pick'ems.
He's one of the best coaches to be able to scheme up ways to just mask injuries. You know what I mean? Like, even with a guy that, like a Nick Bosa is one of the best pass rushers, they still put a lot of pressure on Daniel Jones. And there's not a lot of guys behind him left. Solomon Thomas is out. So he's one of the best guys at scheming up things for the players that he has left. He don't look in the mirror that who's on the list. He just looks at what he has and he schemes up to get what he can.
When you still have Eric Armstead, D Ford, and our boy Javon Kinlaw on and off on a defensive line. Yeah, D Ford was out, but he's going to be coming back. I mean, you still have a decent pieces, and then you talk about their linebacking core, and then their secondary, I think, stepped up quite a bit. That's where I thought. I thought once they lost Richard Sherman, it was going to be a toss fest, and that hasn't been the case just because they're still getting pressure with these backups. We got to talk about your number 2, Roy. So jump in there and let's.
All right. So my number 2 here, the Mitchell Trubisky era is over in Chi-Town. Thank you, Lord, letting it be gone. We have Nick Foles at quarterback for the foreseeable future. I think we can finally move on and have Trubisky now at the helm for second worst bust at quarterback ever, maybe to Jamarcus Russell. Nick Foles, he was able to move the offense for him. They're now 3-0. I highlighted them last week. 3-0. One of the most, kind of anonymous 2-0 teams. They're right in the thick of things. And Nick Foles isn't going to lose you a lot of games like Trubisky could. So with that defense, and if they can just maintain on offense and just not turn the ball over, that's a playoff caliber team right there.
When Nick Foles is on, big, Nick,
yeah.
Is he a top 15 quarterback? Is he possibly a top 10? Some of those throws he made were very, very impressive. And there was a few passes that his wide receivers dropped that were dimes.
And there were a few passes, though, he got straight lucky. I don't understand how the Falcons didn't intercept it. That is true. I don't know, man. When he walked in with that visor, I was like, holy crap. He's about to dice him up for this comeback. I was a little disappointed he took the visor off. So now that he's got the visor off, I don't know how I feel about it.
It was a smoked visor. They're not allowed.
Who cares? Let them have some swag, NFL.
That did look good.
Doesn't Kyler have the visor?
But
I thought Kyler had.
I think they should just let them go full visors with everything, like the Joker they have on a lot of the ones in training camp.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be ridiculous. I mean, if Benny Snell can have the spinner rim, why can't we have visor game?
I agree, but I get the thing. They want to be able to see, if somebody gets knocked out, they want to be able to see their eyes and make sure that their eyes aren't rolled in the back of their head, whatnot. I do get that. That's the reason why we're not allowed to have smoke visors.
Now the big doctor comes in here with his excuse that makes me think.
Make them all wear glow-in-the-dark contacts. I think Jack's muted.
Not. Am I? I'm here. I was just chuckling.
Oh.
Sometimes, very rarely, okay. I am at a loss for words. Never been called a doctor before.
Oh.
I like the sound of it. All right, moving into quarter number 2. Did I actually do it? I did it right, guys. See that? Making RobRob proud over here, boys.
Woohoo!
Y'all take notes, because I've been taking notes for 2 or 3 years, and I still don't know what I'm doing when it comes to running this stuff. All right, we've got 4 quarterbacks that have been playing lights out. I think one kind of came back down to, semi-reality this weekend, but I still think we have to put him in this category, at least 2 out of the last 3 weeks. But really, all 4 of these quarterbacks are playing above and beyond what we all expected, what anybody in the industry expected, what any of their opponents expected. We've got Russell Wilson on pace right now. Let's be real. If DK doesn't give up that one pass, he's got 15 touchdowns in 3 games, which would have been a record. Did he set the record? Is it 14? Does he have the record right now?
Yeah, he has most touchdowns.
Yeah, so he would have added to the record. Let me rephrase that. But then you do the math: 5 touchdowns a game times 16. Yeah, it's 80 touchdowns. Yeah, right now he's on pace for 74. Oh, no big deal. Still record-setting pace. Never had a Pro Bowl or an MVP vote. Just completely, probably the most disrespected quarterback. Maybe because of his height. Maybe because everybody's jealous because of how beautiful his wife is. You don't know, but maybe it's Russell Wilson. It's dangerous. He's been killing it. But then Aaron Rodgers in the second year of this Matt LaFleur offense. We dogged him all last year. I know I did for sure. I could only imagine you guys doing the same. You probably did the same thing. I thought Rodgers was falling off. I thought he hit his peak. I thought it was no longer the Aaron Rodgers show anymore, and that A-Rod wasn't going to be what he ever was. Then we have this little guy by the name of Kyler Murray, who a majority of us had as the MVP. I think we're kind of figuring it was a dark horse shot, but he is so good, so electrifying. And then you add DeAndre Hopkins to the mix. And then somebody that I've been so high on since the draft, somebody that I have been in love with. It is definitely a homer pick, but you cannot knock the physical specimen that is Josh Allen, and now he's adding accuracy and a few touch throws on top of the ability to just, rip guys off of him. If it wasn't for that face mask, I don't know if you guys seen that one play where he literally just threw Aaron Donald off of him, threw another guy off of him. I mean, it was like 3 or 4 guys, but then he grabbed a face mask. It would have been one of the most impressive plays I've seen by Josh Allen. I don't even think he completed the pass, but still, Josh Allen's been playing lights out. I don't think he has a shot at a chance in you-know-what. Let's keep it PG for Roy here. But, there's no way he's going to be in the MVP boat. That's not the question here. The question is, who can last longer doing this? Like, this is such an impressive streak for all 4 of these quarterbacks. Who's going to be the first one to have a bad game, and who's going to come back down to earth first? Cody, I'll start off with you.
Are we doing
all
both?
4. Which quarterback is?
No, like are we doing both? Like as far as like who's gonna keep it up and
I was
who's
just
gonna come back
down to earth first. But yeah, let's go both.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay, all right, both. I think honestly, Russ is just gonna keep on cooking. He is. I picked him as the MVP winner prior to the season. And I think he wants that on his resume more than anything. Obviously, I think he wants a Super Bowl, but I think if he doesn't get a Super Bowl, he'd be very happy to have an MVP on his resume. And I think the coaching staff knows that. I said that before the season. I think he's going to be able to keep it up. Also, mainly because that Seahawks passing defense is awful right now. They're giving up the second most yards in NFL history. So he has to keep up that performance, especially when he goes against quality quarterbacks. Like we saw last week, Dak went for like 450 and how many touchdowns that he had to throw to try to keep up with Russ. So I think he's going to be forced to sustain that. He has the talent. He's not missing any of his throws. I think he has 10 incompletions, I believe, on the season. So I think he keeps it up, and I still think that's a spot that AB could be landing at some point as we get to the halfway point. And then
AB?
Hey, it's Russ. If he wants it, he'll get it.
I made the case.
Why not?
I did. I did make the case for after last night. It looks like the Ravens definitely need Antonio Brown. Yeah. Okay,
no, they don't.
Yeah.
Okay, Steelers fan.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
you know what that does to that.
And then wrapping up, I think Kyler did kind of come down to earth this week with his 3 interceptions as far as keeping up with pace with those guys. I just, like you said, he'll probably bounce back, I'm sure. But he just needs to not always look for the home run shots. He has some check down options he missed this weekend.
Roy, what's your take? Who's going to come back down to earth first, and who's going to keep this crazy chain rolling?
Okay, so I'm going to go with who's going to keep it rolling, and I'm going to agree with Cody. Russell Wilson is going to keep it rolling because he has to. Now with Chris Carson hurt, I know they have Carlos Hyde, but we're going to see him cooking even more because we don't know what the offense is going to look like. The offensive line has gelled a little bit. I know Damian Lewis has been out a little bit, but he's got to keep up this pace because the defense is doing him zero favors in keeping the other team out of the end zone. So Russell Wilson has got to keep cooking here. If we're going for quarterback, who I think is going to kind of recess a little bit, and this is just going to continue on my hate wagon for Aaron Rodgers, I think he's going to come back to earth, not so much because of himself. I think he does have his revenge tour going on this year, and that pains me to say because I am not an Aaron Rodgers fan, but simply because what weapons does he have left? Both Equinemius St. Brown and Marquivas Valdez-Scantling were both out. Alan Lazard has looked nice. They're trying to get Josiah DeGuara in, and Devontae Adams has been nicked up. So I think it's more a product of just the weapons around him. if they come back healthy, he might start cooking some more. But as of right now, I think for the long term, the rest of the season, he's going to really need some people to step up their game to maintain this pace he's already started at.
Especially with how tight the NFC West is. Even with the banged up Niners, they could still even with Nick Mullins, that system and that defense, it's too much. They have to keep it rolling. I'm going to agree with both you guys. It's a sweep. Russ is going to keep this up. Russ is going to put up astronomical numbers without Antonio Brown because he does not need him because he's got 2 stud wide receivers as is. And I will again continuously give credit where credit is due. Regardless of a 3-cone, DK has inserted himself in year 2 as one of the best wide receivers in the game, at least when it comes to the 9 route. I'm not going to say about all the routes, but the 9 route, he's one of the best there is right now, especially being that big and that fast. It is insane what he is able to do in terms of just go getting the ball. But I know I wasn't here last week, but what he did to the defensive player of the year was pretty bad. That's pretty bad. What's been the most impressive for me? I'll jump in this because I wasn't going to repeat everything you guys just said. I do think Kyler is going to regress a little bit. I would say Allen is going to be the one that has to sooner or later take a step back. But he just looks so comfortable in the offense. I think Kyler is the one who has the worst offensive line in front of him. I think Aaron Rodgers has the best offensive line in front of him. So I'm going to say Kyler is going to regress a little bit because he's going to have to continuously run for his life. But I didn't expect Josh Allen to be this good. So I wouldn't be surprised if Allen comes back down to earth sooner or later. But I know that was a stat that I think Cody posted or somebody in Slack posted. His last 14 games, 33 touchdown passes to 3 interceptions. That's mind-blowing from somebody who we all kind of considered to be a pretty inaccurate quarterback. Which performance has been most impressive? I think we've all answered that. The Russ. I think Rodgers without the supporting cast has been pretty impressive as well. But what I want to know is which one of these teams goes the farthest? Roy, who do you think is going to will their team, or who do you think has and we can go into this next 1A, 1B, who is the best supporting cast to take them the farthest into the regular season, into the playoffs, and are any of these teams Super Bowl bound or potentially?
I think the best supporting cast would have to. I'm going with Russ Wilson. I love both Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf just because they're differing styles. Then you have some other talents in there mixed in with them. But those are his 2 key targets. They have Greg Olsen as well and Will Dissly at tight ends. Really quality check down targets there. I think that'll lead to a deep playoff run. But I'm really on this Buffalo train wagon coming through here. The bandwagon is coming through Buffalo with the Blitzalytics team here. And Josh Allen playing complementary football, not turning the ball over. The addition of Stephon Diggs, I think, has really allowed him to take a deep breath and just realize, hey, just throw it up there. He's one of the best route runners, and he can get the ball for you, along with Cole Beasley, John Brown, who can take the top off of any defense. And then you throw in Devin Singletary and also a Zach Moss who can bulldoze some people. And that defense is pretty, stout over there. I'm on the Buffalo train wagon here. I think they have the ability to go the farthest this year.
Yeah, that was the pick I was going with is Buffalo just because of their defense is probably, I would say their defense is the best out of all 4 quarterbacks that we're talking about right now. Roy hit it on the point. They've made this offense to fit Josh's skill set, and then he has the confidence. He's shown the improvement of his accuracy, his touch passes. They are actually running more 4 wide receiver sets than any team in the NFL right now. We're seeing Gabriel Davis kind of emerge. John Brown left this last matchup with an injury, and Gabriel Davis had 4 or 5 catches in that game. Mm-hmm. And then you got to also talk about their free agent addition last year, Tyler Kroft, who got hurt and missed last year. Now he's healthy, and he's helping them out in the passing game. Dawson Knox has been out for the last couple games for concussion. He'll be back, and then Zach Moss wasn't even in that game. So like you said, they have a lot of skill position guys that are surrounding him right now that will allow him to succeed. And man, it's going to be hard to pry it away from KC, but man, if they could somehow pry that number 1 seed away from them and force them to come to Buffalo in January, and they have that defense and they have Josh Allen who will run through somebody in a cold January winter game in the Northeast, that's the matchup I want to see, but it'll be a different story in Arrowhead if that happens.
It's going to be cold at that time no matter where they're at, KC or Buffalo, but
that is true.
But
it is true. I've been to Arrowhead in late December.
We've seen how many layers Ashton put on for that AFC Championship last year. So I'm again, it's kind of hard to disagree with you guys. I think these are right on, spot on takes, and they're getting Josh Norman back this week too. Josh Norman was placed on IR, so there's another piece to that defense that hasn't even stepped on the field. Week 2, they didn't even have either of their top linebackers, and that didn't seem to matter. And Matt Milano and Tremaine Edmonds. I mean, they've got thumpers. They got thumpers in the middle. They've got a stacked defensive line. They got 5 or 6 guys that can get after the passer and can stop the run. Ed Oliver is starting to really come into his own. I mean, there's a bunch of pieces. You really, I just get excited even thinking about the idea of them and KC playing each other come playoff time. So I'm definitely going to say that as well. But Aaron Rodgers, as a Bucs fan, Green Bay to me seems to be the top dog in the NFC this year, especially with the Niners taking a step back, New Orleans taking a step back. I think against maybe the Buccaneers right now, and then I'm sure the Cowboys will get it together. The Seahawks are going to be a team to beat, but if they don't have any form of a secondary and they can't get that fixed, there's no way they win come playoff time. Defense wins championships, and Rodgers has a little bit better of a defense. The biggest thing with Seattle is they have no pass rush anymore. 0 pass rush. LJ Collier, who we consider to be a bust as of last year, or at least for a first-round pick, is now their best pass rusher, and that's saying something. Moving on into quarter 3. Let's do it. Third quarter. This is going to be a fun topic. Oh, so fun. Which NFL head coach is going to be fired first? We've got the amazing, awful-looking Adam Gase. We've got good old Billy O, We've got Dan Quinn, How many times are you going to lose double-digit leads? How many times are you going to have a 95% win probability and still find a way to lose? And then you've got Matt Patricia, who, again, I like Matt Patricia. I've kind of, he got a win this weekend, all right, against Kyler Murray. So I think Matt Patricia is the least likely. Or is there a surprise quarterback or a head coach out there that you guys think will be fired first? Roy, what is your take on the head coaching situation? Is it Dan Quinn? Is it Adam Gase? Is it Billy O? Who is it going to be that leaves us first?
I'm going to say it. I think we have our first firing Friday of this week. It's Adam Gase after he gets bombed by Brett Rippon and the Denver Broncos on Thursday night. Because don't get me wrong, Brett Rippon is not even a middle-level backup, but I liked some of his traits that he had coming out of Boise State. He's efficient. He's basically Brian Hoyer. That's who I compared him to whenever I watched a lot of his tape. He could get you through a couple games, but he's never going to be that guy. So I like some of their young weapons. If he can get the ball to Noah Fant and, lean on Melvin Gordon and Jerry Jeudy and some of them other guys, I think we're going to see Adam Gase take a big L to the Denver Broncos, even though they lost a ton of people. I think we're going to see Mr. Gase on the unemployment line on Friday after a loss.
Cody, Mayo, what you got?
Yeah, that's probably going to happen based on what we're hearing. Is if we're going to choose who's going to go, more likely it's Gase. They need to get him out of there right now. I know somebody asked me on Twitter, like, who do you think is going to get fired, Dan Quinn or Gase? And I said, I think they're both even right now, but I said Gase makes some more sense because while I think all 3 of us didn't like Sam Darnold. I know Jack didn't. I don't know if Roy was with us at scouting season.
I like Sam Darnold. I'll
throw
that out there. That was pre-blitz. I was scouting for Russ Landy and GM Jr. I'm actually a big Sam Darnold fan.
Just to get what I was about to say, the reason why I said Gase makes more sense ahead of Quinn was because because Joe Douglas is there, he signed a 6-year contract, right, the GM. So if he believes in Sam Darnold and the ownership believes in Sam Darnold, you have to get Gase out now, and so he doesn't continue to ruin him as a quarterback. You're going to have to throw a flyer, like, kid, just go out there and get experience, and we'll just try one more head coach with you. Now, would I do that? I don't know. I kind of would prefer Trevor Lawrence over Sam Darnold, but that's why it makes sense for Gase to get fired. Quinn, I would not be surprised if he's fired at some point soon. They have Jack's old boy, Dirk Cutter, that has head coaching experience, so he can run the rest of the season. And I will say this about Patricia. He probably bought him some time with that win, and it depends on where this goes forward. But I forgot who tweeted it out, but some insider tweeted it out, was like, yeah, that was a very important win for Patricia today. So it kind of sounds like they were ready to fire him if they lost. I'm not saying that would have been a little too early for Patricia. I'm not sure who would run the team, but I'm Gase for sure. It's probably gone this week. Would not be surprised. I think it's a matter of time on Quinn. And Bill O'Brien's just lucky enough that they literally he's running the whole organization. Like, they literally have to wait until the end of the season.
If they fire him, they're firing their GM at the same time. For me, Adam Gase is my least favorite person out of all of this, but at least he has an excuse, because Joe Douglas has done nothing for him. He hasn't added any weapons. They haven't done much of anything to put pieces. The C.J. Mosley signing hasn't panned out because he hasn't even stepped foot on the field, basically. The Le'Veon Bell signing hasn't panned out. Sam Darnold, if you put Sam Darnold... He didn't sign. What's that?
So. Yeah.
He didn't.
He didn't sign either one of them.
Oh, well, I'm just saying the players haven't held, or the pieces haven't been there for Gase to win. So I guess it is Douglas got signed in this year, right? So...
Yeah, Mike McCann did all those signings. Mike McCann did all that draft. So the past Jets draft class is his. The past free agency class is his.
They don't have much around Sam Darnold. And so I do think, although I dislike Sam Darnold coming out of the draft because he reminded me way too much of Jameis Winston in terms of beautiful throw, bonehead throw. Beautiful throw, bonehead throw. Pick six, beautiful, 60-yard bomb, dime piece touchdown. For me, if you gave Adam Gase the Atlanta roster, I'm pretty sure he would not be blowing those leads. So I do think that who deserves to be fired more is Dan Quinn. Yes, he may have taken a team to a Super Bowl, and that is what he is basically living and dying on right now. But let's be honest, the only reason why they made it there was because of Kyle Shanahan, and Kyle Shanahan they should have fired Dan Quinn, they should have promoted Kyle Shanahan. In hindsight now. Which would have been a beautiful thing for Matt Ryan and a beautiful thing for Julio Jones and the rest of that team. Because there is pieces. There is so much talent on Atlanta. There is no reason for them to not be winning games. And I'm sure they'll figure it out just like they did last year and start winning games when it does not matter. For me, Gase is still living off. And I dislike Gase the most out of all of these coaches, though, because the only thing Gase ever did was win in an offense where he wasn't even the offensive coordinator, really. Peyton Manning was the offensive coordinator when he was back in Denver, and he's basically ridden those coattails ever since. He had 10-6 season, and then it went, I think, 6-10, 7-9, 7-9, and now we're sitting at 0-3. He's a below 500 coach. He's never been something worthwhile. And he had Ryan Tannehill. The only time he had a success was when Ryan Tannehill was good for that stretch, and then he still got hurt, and then Matt Moore had to come in and substitute for him. Mm-hmm. So they both got to go. Like, that's the thing, is like all of these coaches need to be fired, and I'm sure they will before it's all said and done. I think Billy O is the one because he has GM control lasts the longest. And then Matt Patricia still has a chance of saving his job.
I just wanted to get this off my chest. Adam Gase is terrible. He's awful at his job. I agree with everything you said. And it was on Showcase against the Colts on Sunday. I didn't realize this until somebody brought it up, like towards the end of the game. Some Jets writer, somebody on Twitter, like they have had a proper balance of plays and run plays over the last 3 games, and they've been losing. So you probably think they should have an uptick in passing. And dude, like he's not trying. Like it was the fourth quarter, you're down like multiple scores, and they're handing it off to Frank Gore. So Frank Gore once again is closing out a game for the Colts in the fourth quarter in his career. It's just,
I like that.
It's just like, it's just sad. Like there was like no, like they came out with like no effort in the third quarter. It's just like, dude, just get him out. Like you should have fired him last year, and you maybe would have had a chance at a Matt Rule or somebody. Like I don't agree with keeping guys that It's the same thing with Dan Quinn, and probably Matt Patricia. You're gonna probably fire them. And hey, let's talk about him, Doug Marrone too. He's gonna get fired at some point.
Yep.
Yeah, why are you holding on to coaches you just know you're gonna a lame duck coach? I hate when teams do that. It was the same thing with the Colts with Chuck Pagano. It's like we knew we were gonna fire him after we hired Chris Ballard. I mean, Frank Reich's worked out for us, so maybe the hindsight is 2020. But I just disagree with that logic.
Do you guys also think that what was the team here? I lost the name. Oh man, this is killing me, Smalls. Vic Fangio with Denver. Do you think he's in question to lose his job? I know I think he got by injuries.
Yeah, I think that the injuries saved him one more year. But yeah, I did see something like he's the first Broncos head coach to like start a season 0-3 or something. I didn't know that the Broncos have been that successful to start the season.
So many pieces.
Scapegoat.
They have lost so. I agree, Jack.
In 3 weeks, they're just a joke. Like the Buccaneers beat a second-string team this weekend. Like for the most part, I mean they got some pieces, but AJ Bouye down, Von Miller down, Jarrell Casey now down. They had this illustrious offense, every piece you could think of. Cortland Sutton, freaking Locke, Philip Lindsay, like you name it. Everybody's been hurt. So I think Vic Fangio gets a break. But I think Vic Fangio will fall under that category of will always be a better coordinator than a coach. He just doesn't seem, in the interviews, on the sidelines, he just doesn't seem to be the best game manager. I think he is a sophisticated defensive coordinator, and that's what he should just solely be focused on.
Okay, so let me throw another name out there. This is going totally, it's questioned in our script here. We always have that one surprise team that fires a head coach. Do you consider Doug Peterson on the hot seat?
No, but I've seen this happen in the NFL before, but no. I don't like.
He brought Philly a Super Bowl. I think he's got like even that one. Yeah. That one buys him quite a bit of time.
I think that buys him at least another couple years, unless like they can't listen to their ravaged fan base that Santa Claus.
Remember how long they went with like Andy Reid being kind of like not having a whole lot of success.
Oh, and like
that's what I mean. Like, would you think that they would maybe think like, okay, well maybe Peterson has ran his route here, kind of like an a la Andy Reid?
No. You can't run your route and win a Super Bowl literally 2 years ago. And they literally lost Andre Dillard and Brandon Brooks before the season. They had to play Jason Peters. We're going to play him at guard. Now he's back at left tackle at what, 55 years old? Like
38.
You got to think about.
Do you think they would pick up the phone if Joe Douglas calls and says, "Hey, I'll trade you a draft pick for your head coach"?
I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it before.
Because Douglas worked hand in hand with Doug Peterson, and then they could slide in and get an Eric Bieniemy.
I'm just wondering if you got some inside information.
Who you been talking to, Roy?
I'm just throwing.
You got some insiders out there. Who you been talking to?
Look
at that smile.
Some knowledge out there. Maybe it's not being talked about. So, is Joe Douglas? Would it maybe be something that Doug Peterson's coming to the end of his rope in Philly, and we see them maybe just wanting to change of sequence here for Carson Wentz?
Don't be lying.
We know Carson Wentz is big money. I'm just saying.
I do like the
I'm just throwing it out there. I'm being, absolute, devil's advocate here. See what's going on. Oh, but also a little known fact. Not many people know. Joe Douglas, the GM of the Jets, Do we know what film he was an extra on?
Not a clue. Anybody? Anybody in the chat section?
I have no clue.
No.
Anybody? It's a football movie. It's The Replacements, just so everybody knows.
Oh, wow.
There's an extra in the background. So if you go to watch The Replacements, Keanu Reeves, Shane Falco, there you go. You're welcome.
One of the best. Top 5. That was a good pick 6,
Absolutely.
by the way. Go back and listen to it. But it's not even close. Remember, The Titans has been, always will be the greatest football movie of all time. And I proudly admit, I tear up every time. All right, quarter 4. Let's see what we got. All right, quarter 4 is saved for this beautiful baby. And because I am not doing any of our advertisements or any of our commercials today, I'm going to show you guys this. We are all going to show you guys this beautiful book, 418 pages plus a cover with some amazing reviews by guys like Jim Nagy and Russ Landy. Big shout out to everybody who has given us some solid reviews. Just got some word back from Mark Dominic this past week, who had some lovely things to say as well. Former Bucks GM and all of mentors to all 3 of us. Really appreciate all of the reviews, and I just want to say, guys, go buy.
Somebody that was out of your list there for the 49ers, Brandon Ayuk. He had a nice little coming out party on Sunday. He had 5 receptions, 70 yards, 3 rushes for 31 yards and a touchdown. I thought he got to show off his athleticism. He was a top 5 wide receiver for me in this past draft class. So it seems like Shanahan has an idea how to use him in that offense. And I know we were kind of chatting before, and I agree with you. Jay saying that you were muted that whole time in the chat, Jack. So
can you hear me?
I want to double check that. Oh, you guys
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
how about
I
now,
can hear you.
Jay? Throw us a comment in there if you can hear us.
Yeah, and if you missed anything that Jack said, he was just talking about this baby that we're talking about right now, the Blitzalytics Prospect Encyclopedia. But yeah, I kind of am intrigued to see how Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk complement each other in that offense once Deebo is fully healthy. Now we have another person saying, Kamisha says that they can hear us. So we're good to go, Jack. And then, so we're doing both, right? That's how we do it? Yeah, okay. Yep. My defense is Jeremy Chin. He had 12 tackles, 6 solo, a tackle for a loss, a quarterback hit. He was a number 6 prospect for Carolina in the book by our boy Jacob Patterson. So shout out to him at Scouting LLC on Twitter. But yeah, he's been flashing all over the place. He's showing his sideline to sideline ability. They're playing him at linebacker. I know he's even getting some reps at special teams. He's going to be like I guess do-it-all player for that Carolina team this year. So I know it's exciting to see him showing the player that he can be. We got to see him at the Senior Bowl, how big he is, especially for his size. I know Roy's a big fan of him, and he's just showing out. He's being that he didn't make my top 5 on the safety list, but he was my playmaker in the superlatives in that video. So, so those are my guys, Brandon Ayuk and Jeremy
Roy,
Chin
hit me
for this week.
You highlighted one of my he highlighted one of my favorite players when we did the draft. Jack, you remember whenever I first found him, and I'm like, you got to watch his highlight. He came from like 30 yards out of the field and just laid somebody out. You gotta love players like that, especially playing
That
linebacker
Jeremy
now.
Chin
So
highlight
picks,
reel was
Cody.
no joke. I got on that bandwagon real quick.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing work there, Cody. Good stuff. So my offensive player of the week, and this is the reason why you need to purchase this bad boy. It is a player for the Dallas Cowboys. I almost got to wash my tongue off when I say I'm going to be complimenting a Dallas Cowboy player. But David Connors nailed it. His number 22 player, which is the last person that he highlighted in this book, Mr. Cedric Wilson Jr., the son of the former NFL wide receiver Cedric Wilson Sr., had 5 catches, over 100 yards. He averaged over 20-some, over 21 yards a catch with 2 touchdowns. Also, we all know Cody Manning loves his T-shirts. It says third-year wide receiver. This guy's first 2 years was mostly taken out due to injury. But back at Boise State, he was a big play machine. And now you're seeing him kind of find his role with CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and a lot of these other guys. Michael Gallup as well, who had a big game. But Cedric Wilson, he had a lot of run after the catch opportunities. He actually beat KJ Wright, who I don't know why they had him line up on him in the slot for one of these 2 touchdowns. So Cedric Wilson Jr., that's the depth of this book you're getting, guys and girls. 22nd overall prospect is highlighted, was the offensive player of the week. My defensive player is the monster out in Nashville, Jeffrey Simmons. If this guy wouldn't have got hurt leading up to the draft in 2019, we would have been talking about him in the conversation for probably in the top 3 picks, top 2 picks. He dropped, I believe it was 11th overall. He was in the backfield constantly. He wound up with 7 pressures. He had a sack, 3 quarterback hits, 3 hurries. He was the number 2 overall player for Ryan Lippert's Titans in the write-up portion. So both of those guys had outstanding weeks, and great job to the guys highlighting the players in the book as well.
Yeah, Simmons is somebody, again, if he would have been healthy, would have been right there with Quinnen Williams. Would have been right there with Josh Allen. I mean, there's so many guys that he would have went ahead of. I mean, the fact he tore his ACL and only went to 11 is saying something, but he is going to be a game wrecker for quite some time. Definitely one of my favorite players to watch right now because of how high I was on him. I had some tremendous things to say about him, not in this book, but on Blitzalytics.com. If you go to the scouting page, you can see all of our pro-style scouting reports that do have our patented weighted metric, which make Blitzalytics.com the most accurate scouting site on the planet. We take into consideration 20-25 different positional traits and give them an actual weighted value. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing, so go check those out. There's reports on everybody we listed right here. So for me, offensively, we can't not talk about Justin Jefferson. 9 targets, 7 catches, 175 yards, and a touchdown. He is what we consider to be the most pro-ready wide receiver coming out of the draft. Maybe right there with Jerry Jeudy. But what he's able to do, he's so well-rounded. I mean, when coming out of LSU, you had Jamar Chase that was this highlight reel, freaking nature type of wide receiver. But Justin Jefferson is just, he's so mundane. Like when you watch him, like he doesn't look like he's running very fast. He doesn't look like, he makes these crazy highlight catches. He's just so darn reliable. He runs the routes perfectly. He's very clean out of his breaks. He's got good play speed. He's very fluid with his motions. I mean, insanely good, reliable hands. And it showed. He had a coming out party this weekend. It's basically, I'm pretty sure, the Skull fans, Skull Nation, whatever they call themselves out there in Minnesota, have completely forgot about Stephon Diggs after this weekend, and rightfully so. I'm pretty sure he would be doing he's doing close to the same thing that Stephon Diggs is doing over there in Buffalo already. So when we were instantly trying to slot him in, Justin Jefferson, into Buffalo, I mean, it's basically kind of pick your poison. Both of these guys, at least one of them's on a rookie contract. So I'm very, very excited to see Justin Jefferson come out. A lot of players actually showed up for the Minnesota Vikings this week. They just played a stout Tennessee Titans team that, is one of the best teams in the NFL as of right now. On the defense side of the ball, I could not help, because I've been on that Raiders bandwagon, I couldn't help but watched the Raiders Patriots game, and Mr. Game Wrecker himself, Max Crosby, two sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 2 more QB hits, was constantly getting his hands up. I think he even had a pass breakup or a tip ball maybe. He is somebody that offenses are going to have to pay attention to, and they can double team them all he wants. He's still going to make plays. I'm pretty sure Bill Belichick tried to scheme him out of the game, and it didn't work. He is their best player on defense already, and I think he is going to be one of the best edge rushing defensive ends for a long time to come. And as I say this, there's this little smirk that in the corner of my eye I see out of Roy every time I make a nice comment about Max Crosby, because this is the only scout right down there. I want to get this one day. He's the only scout on this planet that had a first-round grade on him. So everybody in the NFL, everybody in the media needs to take notice on our director of scouting, because he's the only one that's seen this coming.
Yeah, Mad Max. Every time I watch him play, I just get the same shades and the same vision of Jared Allen. He's the modern version of Jared Allen, the way he used to stack pressures up and just disrupt everything along there. So Mad Max, love seeing that guy. One thing when I scout edge rushers or anybody, it's getting after quarterback, it's tenacity, which is just the frenetic pace that they try to get after the quarterback. He's up there with my boy TJ Watt. They might not have the best measurables, but it's that heart and that want to get after the quarterback. I love that with Mad Max. And Justin Jefferson, Jack, your guy you mentioned there. And when I see him in the Minnesota purple, all I keep thinking about is Chris Carter, because he's so smooth, but yet he doesn't have the great measurables. So smooth, kind of mundane, just wins. He's so reliable. Both of them guys, love both your picks there. So they're some of my favorite young players to watch in this league.
I mean, we called it. He was likely going to be the most productive rookie no matter where he went, just because day one his game was going to translate. He was going to have no issue going from college to pro, and it showed. It only took 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah, just got to actually throw the ball to him, unlike they did in the first 2 weeks.
Well,
there's another wide receiver. Like, we're going to keep on talking about guys. I wanted to say too. Like, there's another rookie wide receiver. T. Higgins had a nice showing with his 5 receptions, 40 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I think him and Joe Burrow are slowly forming a quarterback wide receiver tandem we're going to be talking about for like the next decade if T. Higgins can grow as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Any other names you guys got?
Yeah, I'll throw one out, and this was a guy that Jack liked, the linebacker from Wyoming for the Bengals. We'll go to that Bengal game. Logan Wilson came up with an interception. He's really been coming in and playing some pass defense as well. He wound up coming down with an interception this week. And I got to highlight one of Jack's other boys from the Patriots. Chase Winovich is continually coming to play game in and game out. He got another sack this past weekend as well. So he's coming to play ball with a lot of the guys that opted out. And he's getting a lot more opportunities.
I mean, thanks for tuning my own horn, gentlemen. I like how we can give each other credit instead of having to pat ourselves on the back. So I do appreciate that one. But Rashawn Gary, who? That's all I gotta say. Who? who is the better Michigan player?
No, who's we talk about it. Like, I know when we were going through the summer in the pre-summer when we were talking divisions of players from the book, and here's a guy that is having a great start to his season. Another guy that my mind was blown that he didn't get 12 career starts last year is Brian Burns. He's looking like a force off that edge. And I know we were talking before the show, and the Panthers got a nice little set of young guys. They're going to have a lot of growing pains this year, but I would not be surprised if that Panthers defense has something to say next year.
Was it?
Hey, and don't forget about Jeff Okudah as well, getting his first INT.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
This past year.
I know you guys talked about him when I wasn't here last week, but Antoine Winfield Jr. is dominating right now too. But did you happen to see Brian Burns put Donovan Smith on skates last week with that spin move? Tell me that spin move doesn't remind you of somebody. Cody?
Oh, Dwight? Yeah, like the way. I don't know if you saw the all-22 clip from this past weekend when he bends the arc on the edge. It's something, and he gets the strip sack fumble of Herbert. Yeah, that was something.
But he didn't even.
Beautiful to
Donovan
watch.
Smith fell right on his ass, and he didn't even touch him. He just was so and then just went backwards. Like he just froze up. Like he barely even got his hands on him. Gave him the outside, and then cut in on that. He's got such a fast spin move. He may already have the best spin move in the NFL right now. I really do think he does. Because that's something I noticed coming out of college was Brian Burns' spin move is so quick, and he's so fast with it, and he does it in multiple different ways too. He'll do it out of the swim. He'll do it out of the one-arm shove. He'll come in and fake the dip, and then spin around and come back up and use their body as leverage to hold himself up as he basically slams them down and throws them out the way. He's got 4 or 5 different spin moves already, and to see a sophomore edge rusher do that is outstanding.
Yeah, I want to throw 2 guys out here, and we got to talk about the Super Bowl champs here. My boy Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the strongest 5'7" running back in the game. He straight up ran over a couple guys, and his juke ability, he never goes down on first contact. Love that guy, as well as his ability to catch the ball in the backfield. Not only that, how about the young corner, L'Jarius Sneed? I mentioned him, I think it was the first week. He almost came down with another interception this past week as well. It seems like he is always around the ball.
He is, and he cut off Lamar Jackson quite a few times on those runs. He's definitely a sneaky good piece. I think Casey got better just by the draft. That was it. That's all they did was just draft great players. We can head on into OT. All right. Apparently these are all untimed quarters, so that's why we've rolling on a little bit longer than usual, ladies and gentlemen. So for that I apologize. Again, all on me. Roy, I'm gonna let you take this one over. You wrote this segment, and I know nothing about Pokemon, so I'm gonna let you handle this. I've never owned a Pokemon card a day in my life. Where it's not a Pokemon segment, guys. Just wait. Hold on a second. Let him explain it before you leave. Yet. I would leave too. I'd be like, all right, I'm done. I'm out. They start talking about Pokemon, but just explain yourself. Explain yourself.
So what we try to do is kind of keep with current events, what's going on. We didn't want to go to the election and the debate tonight. Says we're a football talking program. We're not that kind of stuff. So. Me, the nerd, the little fat kid with his Power Rangers t-shirt. So we're going to talk about Pokemon. I know Jay's going to get a kick out of this because we used to play all the time. But 22 years ago today, Pokemon Red and Blue, which are the original editions on Game Boy released in North America, Professor Oak, if you played the game, gave us 3 choices to start us on an adventure of a lifetime. So in honor of that epic game and when it came out, I am going to ask all of us to pick 3 players from our prospect encyclopedia, because the 3 choices that you got in Pokemon were young Pokemon, not the cream of the crop, so we can't pick Patrick Mahomes here, that you would want to start an NFL journey with. So we're going to start off, each of us picking 3 players from our prospect encyclopedia, and then we're going to hash it out, just as you did in Pokemon. You had to weigh your balances out of them 3, and we're going to make you choose 1 player. And we're going to try to keep tabs on them throughout the season to see who maybe performs the best in year 1.
Are we going in order, or are we just picking any 3?
I don't care. I'll kind of let that up to you guys. So whatever you think is best, I'm game. We can have, if we want to do duplicates, I'm not that concerned about it. We'll see if we want to all have 3 different ones. I'm fine with that as well. So, but I'll let Mr. Cody take the first shot here. Let's go 1 each.
That's easy.
1 player each.
I'm going with low-hanging fruit. Number 1 in our book, Joe Burrow. Man, I'm already sold on him. Yeah, that's my pick. He looked great on that Thursday night game. Competitive this past week. I just hope they put an offensive line in front of him so he can last all 16 games this year. But yeah, Joe Burrow will be my pick.
Okay. Jack, who's your first selection that you would have to narrow down?
Oh man, it's somebody we talked about earlier. To be honest, I'm gonna get away from the quarterbacks. If I'm building a team first, I'm building it through the trenches the right way. So I'm going to go Jeffrey Simmons.
Ooh.
And I can't type because of hotkeys, gentlemen. So if you don't mind.
Okay, I'll type that for you, so we're not getting first.
Thank you.
Okay, so since I'm going last here, I think my guy, I'm gonna go completely off script. I'm gonna take an offensive lineman, just because if I'm getting a small mold of clay that I can really evolve over time, I'm taking Mekhi Becton.
Small.
That's
small.
right. The only time you're going to hear the word small in Mekhi Becton, because this man is a large lad that can shuffle around with some light feet like he's a dancer. So Mekhi Becton, you're coming with Roy on this quest. So who wants to take the second round here?
Cody?
Oh, I guess I'm just going to go in order of our top 90 list. I'm taking Chase Young.
I figured that was coming.
I mean, it's pretty simple. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to get the defensive guy that you need on your team. Something that disrupts the quarterback's pocket. And Chase Young, he's going to wreak havoc on left tackles for the next decade. And
this isn't fair.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Chase Young.
I want to pair Simmons with Young, darn it.
I'm going to force Cody on the last round. He's got to take not the number 3 overall player in our book.
Oh,
So, Jack, I'm going to let you go next. Who's your next guy?
That is so tough. You talk about guys like, Josh Allen, you got Jeffrey Okudah, you've got some quarterbacks in Tua Tagovailoa and our guy, Jordan Love. I mean, you do need a quarterback. Oh, that's so rough. But I look at, Javon Kinlaw and Max Crosby, and again, I mean, I'm just give me that D line. Like, let me get 2 of them. I mean, we've seen what happens. So I am going to go. I'm going to go Max Crosby.
You had my heart beating quick there because you about took my other guy, Javon Kinlaw. I'm going freaky athletes. Big, just scratching the surface of who they're going to be. So I got 2 freak athletes in my fronts of my line. So Mekhi Becton and Kinlaw. You took Mad Max here. Cody, last round here. Who we
wait, he thought he wasn't going to get this one. I'll just give it to him.
You can't take the number 3 consensus. If anybody wants to know,
I gotta protect my boy. I'm gonna go with Jedrick Wills.
Ooh, okay.
Who's looked good in the last 2 games, blocking Baker Mayfield's blind side. So I got my guy to protect Burrow, and I got Chase Young.
Roy, go for it.
Jack.
Go for it. I'll give you this one. I want to see who you take out of this list. I'm really intrigued.
Okay, so I'm torn between 2 players, and I might have to ask you guys to help me narrow it down. It's either going to be my boy from the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mr. Mapletron, or the mighty might himself, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because I love both players. So if I'm going freaky athletes, though, do I go the big wideout that could score me lots of touchdowns, or do I get the guy that can never go down first contact? This is difficult, fellas. Difficult. I think I'm going to go with my Mapletron here. I'm going to go Chase Claypool. So I got big freak athletes. Jack, it's your turn. This is your final selection for your starting 3, and then we're going to have to narrow it down to just one player you're just going to go along with for the entire journey.
I got to go Jeffrey Okudah. I'm just going to keep building the defensive line. There's too many. And I could have gone Andrew Thomas. I could have gone Tristan Wirfs. I'm not gonna lie. Tristan Wirfs has actually played quite well. He has been better than Donovan Smith at the very least. So I will say that. But to me, you got to build defense wins championships, baby, and you got to take the best cornerback on the board. He's had a rough start. It hasn't been perfect, but he's gonna get there. I'm not too worried about it. I like my starting 3.
There's so much talent, fellas. We could have went Jeremy Chin here, Cody, Bobby Okereke. Freaky athletes. We could have been going for our 3.
Oh yeah, I mean you go all the way down to 90, and you still have got, just studs,
Denzel Mims, Andy Golden. Jeez, how could we go away from? The only guy I think in our top 90 that I don't think we'd be choosing out of the top 3 would be none other than Hunter Renfrow because he looks like he's 40 and owns a video game shop.
Hey, Renfro, third Renfro, all right? He's been killing it. Killing it. The number one wide receiver on the Raiders. Who said that?
He's savvy. I'll give you that.
He's a savvy route runner. It's a nice. That's a nice way of saying he looks old and white. Video games.
Yes, very, very. So just as like Pokemon, now we're gonna make you choose out of your 3. Who's your one player you're choosing to put your allegiance in and trek with you throughout the entirety of your search here? So who's the one player we're going to all choose here to make sure that we track the rest of the season and see how they do?
I'm going
Joe Burrow.
That's
I'm tracking him regardless. Chase Young is a little banged up right now. They don't want to. Who knows when he'll come back? And Jedrick was an offensive lineman. Sorry, I'd rather go with the quarterback.
Hey, big uglies are people too.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty easy. Like you gotta not take. You kind of have to take the number one guy you picked, right? So I gotta go Jeffrey Simmons, and it hurts me because I do think that Max Crosby gets after the quarterback a little bit better, being an edge rusher who can play on the inside and even rush the passer from the interior, but. Jeffrey Simmons just a freak of nature and kind of a man amongst boys in the first 3 weeks of the season.
All right, so we'll keep eyes on them. I'm actually going to veer away from Becton. I'm going with Kinlaw. I've watched the first 2 games, and this dude, he's showing polish I haven't seen from when he was in college. He was just simply outpowering people at South Carolina. Now he's getting NFL coaching. Whew, buddy, we're seeing some dominant plays. So I'm going with Kinlaw as my guy to be choosing to take on this journey with me.
Who was that? Hernandez that he did that swim move and tossed him 5 feet? Ooh. I mean, just literally
yes, he did.
Oof. And that's a big boy. That's a big boy to be tossing like he's paper. That was.
We can.
Oh man.
We can talk personally about that. Seeing him in person, man, this guy's. He's big. He's well put together. I mean, his arms are probably every bit of 36 inches long, 37. I mean, he got some long arms. This guy's well put together. The upside on him is ridiculous. Although, anytime I can get an offensive line highlight reel, Mekhi Becton, I mean, I'm in for that too. But we'll go with Kinlaw for me. So good stuff, guys. It was just something fun we could get into here and kind of go with the times. Even though maybe I'm the only chief nerd amongst us in this one.
No, I played Pokemon growing up. I wasn't hardcore into it, but I would be lying if I wasn't my young teenage years. I was into the old game.
I was never a bully, but I would have been talking trash to you guys about that as I showed you my rookie Barry Sanders card and all that good stuff. So.
Oh, I had those. I had cards too. I can go right back to my room and slap something right here.
I got a box of them right there. But
I mean, if we want to go football cards, I mean, I could probably line your house with them. So, but yeah, I don't know if you've been talking smack because I was probably about the same size as I was in high school.
Yeah, and I've been yay big for as long as I can remember. So,
who's this little guy talking smack?
All right, so seeing as how I was muted during my whole Prospect Encyclopedia promo, we will end on our Prospect Encyclopedia commercial. But before I do, I want to let everybody know you can @ me at Jack Bourgeois. You can find Cody at Cody Talks NFL and find our favorite pastor / scouting encyclopedia, Roy Countryman at Preacher Boy Roy. And then find his baby, our Prospect Encyclopedia, once again at blitzlytics.com/shop. Target, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Get your book today before they sell out again. Roy, send us out.
All right, guys. It is a blessing to be with you here every Tuesday evening. If you haven't joined us, you should. This is must-see, YouTube TV, whatever you want to call it. But you need to be here listening to us. It's good stuff. I want to give a little shout-out to one of the people that gave us some feedback, but he wasn't able to do it in writing, per se. I know the guys in the core here got to say it, but I want to give a huge shout-out to Charles Davis. That man is one of the busiest guys in football. He recently got promoted to the CBS broadcasting team, the number 2 team, because Dan Fouts' retirement. He's with Iron Eagle. He took a time out after we sent him a copy of this because he was interested in it. He wrote me a personal note thanking not only myself but all Blitz for our efforts in this. He was really impressed with our work. So that's the kind of quality of work you're getting here, folks. Go out and order your copy. I urge you. You won't regret it, especially in this season with the amount of players that are injured or have opted out. You're going to be very relevant for all 22 of these players. Even if they got cut from the original team, they might be on your practice squad. And just like we've seen with the Titans and the Vikings now with COVID tests, they're going to need some players to be bumped up. You're going to be able to know who those players are and sound smart, not only with your friends, but the people you watch games with each and every Sunday. So go out and get that. If you want to at me, at Preacher Boy Roy, check me out every Saturday morning. I have the Steel City Sermon talking about the Steelers and what their weekly game is. And as always, stay humble and be a blessing.
Cody, last words?
Again, thank you everybody for tuning in to this episode. Like they said, I'm not going to say much. Just please get your hands on this. If you just want a little teaser, go to blitzlytics.com/shop and get yourself a $5 team, and then you can invest the full $35. As far as my plugs, I do want to let people know, any of the listeners of the Fantasy Voyage, as far as when that will be, it will be either tomorrow morning. It might be me solo. It might be with Rob if he feels better, or we might just push it till Thursday. So make sure you do follow us. I'll try to make an announcement on that once Rob is going to let me know, and we'll go from there. So stay tuned for the Fantasy Voyage. It will be out probably at some point this week. Cody Talks NFL, Friday mornings around the 10 to 11 o'clock hour. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you do know when we go live, but also check out the Blitzlytics Podcast Network so you can get the audio versions of all of our shows. Other than that, thank you guys for tuning in. Always have a blast doing this, and I hope you guys did tune in based on the quick glance at Twitter I did about the debate. So you guys probably found this more entertaining than what you're watching on TV
watching the
right
world
now.
Burn. This has been the Football Happy Hour presented by Blitzlytics.com and sponsored by Key City Brewing. Blitz out.
For over 100 years, the story has been written, ever changing and growing with each new chapter. The soul remains, though the characters change. Bigger, faster, stronger, smarter.
Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide.
So too grows our fandom. Start miles ahead. The 2020 Prospect Encyclopedia. This September, available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and Blitzlytics.com.